If you're into Hondas like me, you probably know what I'm holding right here. This is a Hondata K-Pro. It's the reason many K-swaps exist today, and as of this week, the company that built it just got sold to private equity. If you've watched what private equity has done to companies like Cobb and EcuTek and other brands, you know exactly why that could be a problem. Now here's what actually happened, and here's what it means for every one of us running one of these. Reports broke this past weekend that Hondata has been acquired by a company called Engineered Performance Technologies, EPT for short. Now, EPT isn't a household name, but you absolutely know their brands. EPT is the parent company behind Cobb Tuning, EcuTek, AutoMeter, GrimmSpeed, and PRL Motorsports. EPT itself is backed by private equity money, specifically Avant Mezzanine Partners and Promus Equity Partners. With Hondata added to their roster, EPT now effectively owns the dominant tuning solution for two of the biggest platforms in the tuner world. For Subaru through Cobb, and now Honda, they have Hondata. Now that's a huge amount of consolidation sitting inside one investment portfolio. This wasn't leaked as some celebratory press release from Hondata's own site. It actually surfaced first as a draft that got posted in a Honda Type R parts Facebook group, which is part of why the community reaction has been so raw and unfiltered. So that brings up the question, like, if you're not a Honda guy, why should you even care about this? And I'll say that this is a pattern, not just a one-off. Private equity has been buying up beloved founder-run performance brands, and it's been happening across the entire aftermarket for a few years now. The playbook with this is pretty consistent. From the optimistic case, the one EPT will tell you is that Hondata gets real resources now. They're going to have more R&D money, faster development for new platforms, better manufacturing capacity, maybe support for cars Hondata never had time to cover as a small shop. And that could be a legitimate possible upside to this, and it's worth acknowledging, but here's what the community is actually worried about, including myself. And I'd say this is worth taking seriously. One, you have pricing pressure. PE-owned companies answer to investors who want growth numbers, not just happy customers. Price increases and subscription-style models tend to follow. Two, you have loss of that direct founder-level support. Part of what made Hondata special was that the people writing the tuning software actually cared about getting your specific swap right. When a brand gets folded up into a portfolio, that kind of hands-on culture is usually the first thing that erodes. Not on day one, but slowly over a few product cycles. And third, reduce competition. When one investment group owns Cobb, EcuTek, and Hondata and GrimmSpeed, the incentive to actually compete on price or innovation between those brands starts to disappear. I mean, why compete with yourself? And lastly, the products themselves. Enthusiasts who live through other PE-driven tuner buyouts have seen software update cadences slow down, community forums get deprioritized, and support quality dips once the founding team exits or gets pushed out. Now, none of that is guaranteed to happen here, but is the exact pattern people have watched play out with other beloved brands after a private equity acquisition, which is why the skepticism in the community right now isn't paranoia, it's kind of pattern recognition. Now, a few years back, Cobb went through what they called Project GrimmSpeed, and in practice, that meant pulling features and calibrations that could be viewed as emissions defeat tunes and steering hard towards CARB compliant 50-state legal options only. Certain downpipes, certain power packages, off-the-shelf maps all disappeared. GrimmSpeed has followed a similar path on its hard parts, leaning into CARB executive orders rather than no cat, race-only setups a lot of the enthusiasts actually wanted. Now, to be fair, there's a real regulatory reason for this. The EPA and the CARB have genuinely ramped up enforcement, and no company wants to eat a massive federal fine. That part isn't just a PE thing, but here's the thing that matters. Once a brand gets folded into a portfolio with other brands, corporate lawyers, and investors who don't want emissions-related liability sitting on the balance sheet, the math kind of shifts. It's not just what does the enthusiast want anymore, it's what does legal and the board consider an acceptable risk. And when Cobb and GrimmSpeed made that shift, off-the-shelf race tunes and non-compliant parts got quietly phased out, whether the community liked it or not. So when people ask what could realistically happen to Hondata under EPT, this isn't just hypothetical. It's sitting right there in the same portfolio. If Hondata gets pushed towards CARB-only calibrations the way Cobb and GrimmSpeed did, you're going to have no more off-the-shelf race maps, no more tunes built around deleted cats or off-road only setups. That changes what the software actually was for a huge chunk of the people who buy it. So what does that actually mean for you? If you've got a FlashPro or a K-Pro in your glove box right now, or you're about to buy a K-Pro for your swap, short term, this basically means nothing changes. Your existing hardware still works, licenses aren't getting revoked, support isn't disappearing overnight. Now in the medium term, that's where the real question lives. Does EPT keep Hondata's pricing where it's been, or does it start climbing to match the margins investors expect? Does development on new platforms speed up, or does Hondata quietly become a smaller priority next to Cobb, which is EPT's bigger revenue driver? Long term, this is really a bet on whether EPT treats Hondata like a brand to preserve or a brand to extract value from. We've seen aftermarket companies survive PE ownership and come out stronger. We've also watched a lot get hollowed out. It's genuinely too early to know which one this is. Now look, I'm not here to tell you to panic sell your FlashPro or K-Pro or boycott a company that hasn't actually done anything wrong yet, but I am telling you to pay attention over the next 12 to 18 months. Watch the pricing, watch the update cadence, watch whether the people who built this brand are still the ones running it. Hondata earned 2 decades of trust the hard way by actually being good at this. Now, whether that trust survives its new ownership is a story we're all going to be watching unfold in real time. Drop your take in the comments. Are you optimistic about this? Is EPT going to invest in Hondata the right way, or do you think this is the beginning of the end of what made it so special? And if you want me to keep tracking this story as it develops, hit the subscribe, because I guarantee this isn't the last consolidation move we're going to see in this industry this year. And as always, I'm DC5 James. I make automotive content every week. I'll see you on the next video. Peace.